Hey everyone, we have our first guest today.
Very exciting day.
Very exciting today. Yeah. We have Alexandra Bunting and Savannah O'Connell joining us. They are extremely into the Idaho murders specifically. Alex has been a lot of people's go-to. I'm sorry, I called you Alex. I know it's Alexandra. Sorry.
It's totally fine. You can call me Al if you want.
Al has been a lot of people's go-to for Idaho updates via her Instagram story, which if you don't already, follow her. It's at Owl, O-W-L, Bunting, B-U-N-T-I-N-G. Your updates have been so helpful for me because I am swamped in reading those Reddit and Facebook forums and everything. And we still have 995 pages of evidence we have not seen.
I know, it's crazy. My real job is certainly suffering from my constant coverage.
I was going to ask, because you like screenshot a text or chat or something between you and a coworker, and the coworker said, "Have you finished your presentation?" And your response was, "What presentation?"
I was like, holy shit, what are you talking about?
That is hilarious. They have an announcement, an exciting announcement at the end. But first, I want to ask them to tell us a little bit about themselves, how they get into true crime, etc. So go ahead.
So, hi, my name's Alexandra. I grew up in Virginia, New Jersey, and I think my first taste of true crime was the OJ case. I can remember sitting in my parents' kitchen and watching the Bronco chase and watching my parents and their reaction and just kind of thinking to myself, like, holy shit, this is a big moment in history. And from then on, I became obsessed with the OJ case. I had to leave. I think I was in like 7th grade, and I had my mom pick me up from school so I could go home to watch the verdict in the comfort of my own home. And I was really, really little at that point, but I was just completely fascinated by it. There's just so many intricacies and so many different players. And, you know, obviously OJ is such a big name. And that case just completely captivated me. And then it kind of catapulted into every other murder case after that.
Right.
So. A classic. Oh
it's
my God.
First of all, that low speed chase was hilarious. And because he's going 40 miles
looking
per hour.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking back. And it was like the first taste of kind of reality TV. Like it was live, and he was
totally
a huge athlete, so popular, lovable up until now, or up until that point. So yeah, that was a crazy one.
I love that you got checked out of school for the verdict.
I know.
I can only imagine what my mom said to the principal to let me leave, you know, like
the principal's probably like, I get it.
Yeah. Well, it's on in my office right now if you want.
Yeah.
And it was just so crazy, the overwhelming amount of evidence they had against him. And the fact that he got off was just mind blowing, you know.
Mind blowing.
And then you had all those colorful characters, like you had Judge Ito and you had Kato Kaelin, and then Marcia Clark, and, you know, just these colorful characters that were just like, you couldn't make it up, you know.
And they were also shot. Robert Kardashian's face when the verdict's read is like, are y'all serious?
He was like, what? Yeah, he's kidding. Like, I pulled this off.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Savannah, so what about you?
Yeah, I mean, so Alexandra and I have been best friends since we were about 12. So I feel like I've been on this journey of her OJ obsession for a long time since then, pretty much. But I grew up in New York City, and I remember where I was when the OJ verdict came out, and I was really on OJ's side. And I remember there being, you know, it being very like a cultural divide that I wanted to be a part of. And I think it's interesting, you know, these moments in history where you remember where you were. And of course, Alexandra and I remember where we were at that moment. But for me, I think, you know, I loved watching Law and Order when I was younger, and that they were, you know, adaptations of real things that were happening in the press in terms of disappearances and murders and tragedies. And I thought that I wanted to be a criminal defense attorney. And I thought that I just felt as if, you know, true crime and crime was so fascinating from such a young age. And I feel like it was sort of a Law and Order thing. But also, you know, another thing that I was really interested in when I was younger was the Michael Jackson case, you know, not a murder or a disappearance, but that really captivated me at such a young age. So,
right. Oh my God. Yes.
Lifelong me.
It's like these influential people who do horrible things. It's just so fascinating for some reason. And everyone's into it.
It really is.
I have a question though. So you're on OJ's side?
I know.
Yeah, I was. I think just growing up in New York in the school that I went to, I think I felt as if there had been so many injustices. And I don't know if you all remember, but this happened so close to the Rodney King beating.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that I just felt as if, there was a segment of the population that had been oppressed for so long. And I was really on the side of the law that I thought that he should be, given a chance in this situation, and that the evidence wasn't all there. And if there was any question, that he should be acquitted. So that I think I was in like 6th grade. And I think that was really my point of view then. It has since changed.
Wow. I was going to ask, like, do you still see him? Oh my God.
But I feel like people wanted to think he was innocent. He was an American hero. He was likable. He had that big smile. You didn't want to believe that he could do it.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be like Michael Strahan brutally murdering. Like, he's so lovable. He's on TV. He's like a host. He's just about to make.
And Kelly Ripa was like Nicole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be like everyone's just America's sweetheart being like, oh, I'm devastated that this could happen. Yeah, everyone wanted to believe him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he did it.
He did it.
Yeah, no doubt.
He did it.
We actually we're talking to my fiance and I are in talks with Kato Kaelin to have him make a cameo at our wedding in September. So he might. Savannah, have I told you that?
Speaking of cameo, yes. I thought you weren't supposed to tell anyone, so I'm glad.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, don't tell anyone.
Wait, no, please let us leave it. Please.
No, okay, you can leave it.
Or beep it. Or beep it.
I doubt anyone cares about my wedding.
Do you all know
OJ's trial is on oxygen right now? That is so weird.
God. That is so weird.
Wait. So weird. Okay, sorry.
When you said cameo, I was thinking in person. I was forgetting about like actual cameo. That's a good one.
No.
Yeah, we're in person, but he did a cameo
for Alexandra for her first Mother's Day as a mother. And like, her fiance Rollins is really funny, but like, how you like to be very skeptical of whoever is marrying your best friend, which, our group of friends was skeptical of Rollins. We love him now because for Alexandra's first Mother's Day, this was when cameo was like a small thing. Like no one really knew about it. Mm-hmm. I think that he paid through the platform $80 to have Kato Kaelin sing like a lullaby to Alexandra, honoring her as a mother and as like a weirdo who is obsessed with the OJ case.
Oh my God.
So good.
And Kato actually called him.
He gets her.
Yeah.
Like he like this, like you got her.
It was so funny. Rollins said he was in Publix and Kato actually called him and was like, hey, it's Kato. Let's talk about the cameo. And Rollins was like, this is the most random thing in the world.
Oh my God. And now you have his number forever.
Yes. I'll send you guys the video. It's really funny.
Please.
The best day of my life.
So really hit the nail on the head with that one. What a great gift.
Amazing.
Right. That is incredible. So what's he going to do at your wedding?
I think he'll just come and like, I don't know, make people laugh and socialize. I think my mom will be kind of pissed, but whatever. We wanted to have him officiate, but we thought maybe the church wouldn't like that. So,
oh my God,
maybe not.
I hope he's prepared for the amount of OJ comments. I really do.
Know.
No one is going to get him, right? OJ comments, you think?
I think he's fine with an interview too. I think he's fine to talk about it.
I think it's like his identity,
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like the quintessential couch surfer, He's been like a house guest for so long.
That is wild. When is your wedding?
September 16th.
That is amazing. Congrats, by the way.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
So when Idaho happened, did y'all just like, you're just, all right, I'm in it now. There's 4 murdered college students and that's how you were just sucked in. And now you might go to Moscow. You can just let's just do the big announcement now.
Okay, I missed this part because I was having technical difficulties. Oh my God.
Tell us everything.
Tell me everything.
I would say like over the years, Alexandra and I have always, we've been really close, but when something really tragic and really sort of difficult to unpack happens, we just go crazy trying to answer all of the questions that don't make sense and sharing all of this information that we dig up together. And I would say the cases that we have been the most fixated by have been the ones that to us sort of hit closest to home. So kind of maybe divergence from the OJ situation. So there's a case about a girl named Maura Murray who disappeared. And this is a case, I mean, you all probably know about it, but most of my friends, like Al will bring it up at like 2 a.m. at a party and people are like, what are you talking about?
Absolutely. Wait, we all go to Vermont and solve that case?
In New Hampshire. Well,
New Hampshire.
Or New Hampshire.
Yeah.
really, I mean,
I've tried to get Savannah to go with me, but we haven't had time, I guess.
Like, what happened? Sorry, you keep going.
So
If you want to give a synopsis, some people.
No, I think it's so interesting because, you know, for instance, I don't know if this is true in your lives, but for me, Alexandra's really the only person like in my close group of friends who cares about true crime the way I do. And I think for the most part, my friends think there's something wrong with me because it's something that I'm so fascinated by. My husband is like, he's like, I listen to Dateline in my AirPods while I go to sleep. And he's like, you wonder why you're in a bad mood. Or, you know, think
or
that
stressed out.
Exactly. But I think that for us, it's kind of like this idea that when you can really relate to something, or when something feels like so close to something that could happen to you, you just want to know more and more about it. And you identify with the victims and the family members and the people involved, and you want answers for them. And I think that's sort of this directs this crusade that we go on in some way. And so with Gabby Petito, we were really interested in it. And I tend to think that, you know, there's so much media attention around this idea that like when the pretty blonde girl goes missing, everyone cares about it. And then, you know, they're Native American women and Black women who are murdered and disappear all the time. And their cases just don't get the same kind of scrutiny or spotlight or attention. And it's something that Alexandra and I talk a lot about, but I do sort of think that part of that is because you have someone like Gabby Petito who disappears and so many people feel like they know her, like she's that girl I went to high school with or summer camp with, and that kind of heightens the interest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's absolutely sort of like why I think we felt like we were so interested in the Idaho Murders case, because we felt like we lived in that house when we were seniors in college. We felt like Moscow was actually really similar to the college towns that we went to school in. And so I really think that has a lot to do with why we were so compelled to find answers.
Could not agree more.
I 100% agree with that too. And the thing with Idaho and Gabby Petito is there is obviously a thing where pretty blonde white girls who are in these cases, who are the victims, do get a lot more media attention. But the other thing with it is those cases they're not black and white. They're just so bizarre. Gabby Petito went missing. They were putting their entire lives on social media. You could go to her Instagram page and see what she was doing yesterday. And then Brian came home, but without her, and was being really weird. Then he went camp. Like it just kept getting
going.
We were
weirder.
like
And
watching it live. It was
Yeah. And then
crazy.
he went missing. And then same with Idaho. Like you're like, wait, I lived in a house full of girls. And
Oh yeah, it
it
could have been
seemingly was
us.
random. And then there's 2 survivors. And you're like, wait, why didn't they get it just keeps
Right.
getting
It just keeps
weirder
going. And
weirder and weirder. And that's what's like holding my attention. I'm like,
and
Yeah.
that's what happened.
the
Like,
answers.
we went to what got us into true crime is we went to high school with Natalee Holloway. Do y'all remember?
You guys from Birmingham?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so
Nice.
that got obviously worldwide attention, but it
Yeah.
got a lot of backlash on the pretty blonde white girl went missing. And it's, you know how many people get murdered a year on islands? I'm like, but
Yeah.
it's not just that. She was with 133 of her friends on a
spring
senior
break.
trip.
Ugh.
Yeah. It was a well-known Dutch boy whose his dad's the only judge on the island. It's just, it kept getting complicated.
Yeah.
And then like his dad dropped dead, thank God. And, and then another one who was accused got stabbed in Florida fatally by attacking a woman, and she stabbed him. Like it just kept getting, it's just
And then Natalee's mom dated John Benet Ramsey's
that's
dad.
right.
Like, you
Natalie's-
can't
yeah.
write this.
Years.
But yeah, so it's just, And to y'all's point, it's just like that. It's just so intriguing, aside from the fact that we knew Natalee, you were her 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. And we were the college students, and that we lived with girls. We've heard our friends, some people are up in arms about Dylan hearing crying and whatever. I'm like, we've all heard our roommates, for what all we knew, drunk crying. I don't, it's just, I relate so hard. I empathize, sympathize with Dylan so hard for that. She's getting so much backlash and all that. But I'm like, everyone's lived with a house full of college students where it's just, especially a social one or the party house or whatever, people are in and out, people get drunk and cry. It was 4 a.m. Come on. It's just that.
Well, I've seen both sides of that, of like, how can 4 people by one person get, I think, did you share this yesterday?
The stun gun thing.
Maybe a stun gun silenced everyone, or how could there not be blood curdling screams? But I've heard someone commented on one of those posts that was like, I was attacked by someone in my house, someone I knew, and like the fear literally took the air out of my lungs. I did not scream whatsoever. And when finally, when it was all over, she like had a reaction and screamed and was like panting and was like freaking out and called the cops. And when the cops got there, she was like, why could I not make a peep? And they're like,
was she by herself?
She was by herself.
So see, that's what I wonder. It's like, there had to be one person with the victims and watching, kind of. So how come that person, maybe, I guess, if they were tired or asleep or inebriated or I know myself, and I feel like I would be screaming my fucking head off. I don't know. But I guess you can't say if you've never been in that position, but and there very well could have been screams. We just don't know it. Obviously, there's a lot that's been omitted from the probable cause affidavit. So,
and there's 995 additional pages that we haven't seen. Like,
I know
the stun guns are really, I think that has legs on it.
Yeah. Can they tell if a stun gun was used? Like, does it leave a mark?
It usually leaves 2 like burns. Like, I think they would know. What's interesting to me is I just started reading this Vanity Fair article that came out, I think last week. It's like 35 pages. It's long, but one note for Xana and Ethan, I believe it may be Kaylee and Madison too. I haven't gotten there yet. That their faces were fine. They were stab wounds. Their faces were fine. So I'm like, did you cover one with I don't know.
Like smother.
Right. But mind you, this is very similar. I'm sorry, were you not done?
No, I'm trying to think of that dynamic with Ethan being in the picture though, because he was big.
Yeah, he was a big dude.
He was tall. It just seems like, but again,
I don't want to be disrespectful or assume anything, but he could have slit his throat. Done.
Yeah.
It could have been very quick.
This is total speculation, but that Ethan's hamstrings were slit.
Yeah.
And so that it would, disable him from being able to stand up or fight back in any way.
Terrifying.
I don't know if that's true. We've read some.
I know. I keep reading that he was asleep. And that he was found in his bed, but it's all speculation.
I know everything up until this point is speculation.
We know that, BK or whoever if it was Brian Kohberger, according to his phone records, that he was circling the house and he would have seen, and we know from Nancy Grace that you can see inside this house. You can, see people making food in the kitchen. You can see one of the roommates with her boyfriend in her bedroom. You can see Maddie's, pink boots and the M in her window, all of these things. Very easy to see into this house. So he knew that Xana was awake. Someone was awake in the house, and probably
the DoorDash guy had just come.
She had gotten DoorDash at 4. So, and wouldn't he probably have seen Ethan's silhouette if he was casing the house for that long as well, and thought, well, if the girlfriend is awake, there's a good chance the boyfriend is awake too. I mean, it just seems as if for whatever reason, he wasn't afraid of awake people inside the house.
Yeah, he didn't care.
No, he didn't.
That's a good point.
It would be interesting to see the contents of the DoorDash order if there was enough food for 2. Like, for example, 2, hamburgers from Jack in the Box or whatever they have, or, to see because that would indicate that Ethan was awake, I think.
Oh, yeah,
that's
absolutely.
True.
That is a good point. But y'all remember, this was episode 29 when I did the Adrian Insania, Lauren Minza, and Leslie Mazzara episode.
Yeah.
If y'all, you might not know the story, and that's fine, but I did an episode a few weeks ago because it reminded me so much of the Idaho murders. They were living in Napa, young fresh out of college students, and a guy came in and killed 2 of the 3 of them. And
Oh yeah, I
Lauren
remember
Menza,
this.
yeah,
It was
she
the
was in her
boyfriend
room. Yeah, it
of
was
one of the friends, right?
Yeah.
Or the
Mhm.
fiance.
Yeah, the fiance of
fiance.
one of the
Crazy.
roommates' friends. And Lauren Menza was in her room with her dog, and she was just standing in the doorway while she heard her roommates getting attacked. She
Oh,
just, the
God.
freeze, flight, or fight, and she froze. And I hope she's reached out to Dylan and Bethany.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and she's
Ugh.
like, don't underestimate what you do. And then when she did go up there, and again, we don't know half of what happened that night.
Mhm.
But Lauren did go up there and saw her roommates dying, and the police and the 911 dispatcher told her to get out of the house. So it's, I mean, I'm like, we don't know what happened. It's just
I know.
so much up until this point speculation. And that's the one thing that I know we have the sheath and there's in fact DNA on it, but the only thing DNA doesn't prove is a timestamp. Like I think the defense is going to say argue the when and the how. When did that get there? He dropped it weeks ago at a party, or someone stole it from his house, and it wasn't him that used it. His DNA's on it because it's his, but it wasn't him. I think.
Yeah.
That's what's going to kill me. He's going to fight tooth and nail and plead not guilty, and it's going to go to
Ugh.
trial, and we're never going to know a motive. We'll know like the prosecution's theory, but I'm like, unless he confesses, we're never going to know a motive.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
or like if he saw Dylan and why he didn't kill her, or if he just
I
didn't
really
see
want
her.
to know if you saw Dylan. That's one of the things. So like Alexandra and I feel like this case has, it's like every time you have questions that are answered, more and more pop up. And that's one of the reasons why we're like, we love, your podcast and so many of the true crime podcasts that, focus on a different case each episode. But we're like, this is truly, one of those cases that we can make an entire season out of, because
Yes,
There's so many layers.
question. And that's such a, for us, why didn't Dylan call 911 at the time that she saw, the man clad in black with a mask over his face, is a huge, huge question that I think the internet erupted over when the affidavit came out. But also, did he see her? And if he did, why did he let her live? Like it's so fascinating. And we may never know the answer to so many of these questions. And I just wonder sort of where, if he did do this, which, our opinion is that he did, but, where his kind of mindset is in this is like, he was so sort of careless, right? So many things, like with the phone, he never ever turned off his phone. Like he got that phone in Pullman, Washington at AT&T, like in June or whatever. He never turned off his phone. Some people put them on airplane mode when they sleep or turn off their phone from time to time, just to like, whatever. He never turned off his phone, except for those, 3 hours, 2 hours around the time that he left his apartment. So that's huge. And then, driving his own car, all of these things, it almost makes you think, did he want to commit this crime and sort of this mass murder and kill these 4 people, and then to get caught, and then to have this elongated media moment where he can, mess with the public and law enforcement and prosecutors and all of this. So I think it will be really interesting to see how much he stands behind not being guilty, or if it is some kind of game for him where he really wants to, play.
Right.
That's a really good point.
It is a good point. And I just can't
point.
help but to think it's the latter. I think he's going to love the limelight. He's loving it. He's
we know it'll go to trial because he'll love the notoriety that comes with being on the stand. Or I guess he wouldn't take the stand, but I highly doubt that Dylan saw him, because you have to remember that law enforcement investigators told the public that Bethany and Dylan were on the first floor throughout the duration of the evening. Not one of them woke up. If he had been following the news, if BK had been following, he would have been like, that's bullshit. I saw her. Like she was on the second floor. I passed her, so I think
true.
They were trying to protect her in some way. But I don't know. I feel like if he had seen her, she would be dead.
Right. I think he was in escape mode. I think
he was like tunnel vision to the sliding door in the kitchen.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. I've actually literally seen that if you reach a level of adrenaline, you literally get tunnel vision. You cannot see side to side. And also turning the corner from Xana's room, going past Dylan's room through the kitchen, out the back door, that good vibe sign is
The light.
right
Yeah.
there. That light, he could have not seen
Illuminated
her.
him.
Yeah.
It was
What
almost
my-
like a spotlight on
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he,
Oh,
if
that's a
she,
good
especially
point.
if she was like just barely, she didn't open the
Yeah.
door wide, probably. If it was just barely cracked, I bet he just had no idea
Totally.
she was standing there.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the good
Terrifying.
vibes could have saved her life.
The
For
good
real.
Yeah.
vibes.
What I want to know too with that though is if the whole house was targeted, why did he not even attempt to open her door? Unless it was just locked the whole time, and maybe he
Right.
did, and he was like, "Fuck that."
So we haven't had a lot of like new evidence come out since the affidavit. It's all mostly been hearsay, but we did have that People article that came out that said that BK was following Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee on Instagram, and that he had
Yes.
one of the three of them. And I wonder if he had been following Bethany and Dylan as well, if that would have come out, or if truly he was only following the three of them, and that it was targeted to those four specific people. And I also, sort of think that knowing that we have at least 12 pings of his cell phone near the 1122 King Road house, and that he was outside and probably saw that Xana was awake, and all that there's a good chance that he knew enough about where everyone was in that house and what was going on in that house, that he really was targeting those four students.
Yeah. Because you
Right.
have to
Yeah.
remember that Dylan moved up to the second floor like a couple weeks prior to the murder. So if he had been casing the house, he would have thought that Bethany and Dylan were on the first floor, which essentially is the basement, so he would have, maybe he didn't even know that she lived in that room and thought it was empty.
That's a good
Right.
point.
That's a
Yeah.
good point too. Yeah. God, I just need him to fold like a piece of paper and just tell us everything.
I
Tell
know.
us everything.
Just like a Post-it or something.
Come on, Brian.
Wait, so
His
y'all are gonna?
eyes are so scary. Have you noticed he has shark eyes? They're like
Yes.
menacing.
he
Ugh.
is repulsive. And
He's
have y'all
so
seen
gross.
that there's already followers of him and fans of him? Get
Oh,
out
I
of
bet he's
it.
getting like fan mail from crazy women. And,
He is. There's a
ugh.
woman on Facebook very vocal about
Yeah.
her love for him.
So gross.
stalked
So
her.
wild.
It's disgusting. So y'all are going to Moscow though. Tell me more about that, because
Yeah.
I think we started there and then we just kept going.
We kept going into the
Per
Idaho
usual.
shit talking BK.
Per usual.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
tell
think
us-
going back to just sort of this idea, and you all can relate, that's that having gone to high school with Natalee Holloway, that being able to tell a story and have the texture of really the environment or the school or the town or the place or, whatever it is, it adds so much. And so I think
Mhm.
that has been something that we've wanted to do. And Alexandra has always been the type of person who wants to go to the scene of the crime. For me, it's hasn't been as important to me, but with Moscow, I feel like it really is. I
Yeah.
want, and it's not as much, the normal, like the house. We're of course going to go there, but I just think that the people who live around that house are probably so sick of.
Oh, yeah. Especially after the Nancy Grace
I
fiasco.
know. Which
People-
I gotta tell y'all, I love Nancy Grace. I gotta say it.
Yeah, I think for us, like, it's really important through our podcast that we're able to advocate for college students being able to be college students, and the opposite of Nancy Grace, where she's saying, I was listening to her reporting and she was like, I'm standing outside the house and these girls, they didn't have a chance.
Mhm.
You can see right into, and it's like, you should be able to be 19, 20, 21 years old and live in a house where, someone can see that you're, unpacking your DoorDash in your kitchen and they're not going
Right.
to know you. Like, what is this where, and you should be able to have parties with 150 people and not be scrutinized for letting strangers into your
Yeah.
house. And I think that Alexandra and I very much come from this place of, we, in so many ways, like, felt as if we should have had these 4 years in college where we could just not worry about a lot of these things in the real world that, you have heightened sensitivity to when you're an adult, and to really, be able to tell that story from the place that Moscow is, which is a place that hadn't had a homicide in 7 years, where,
Right.
it's celebrated for being this pocket of Idaho that has, good food and culture and the arts and all of these things. And the last thing anyone is thinking about there is getting murdered.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Right. For sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
But since you mentioned it, I do want to talk about your podcast. That's so exciting. They're coming out they're launching a podcast, people. What's going to be the name? You said a company? It's
Yeah, tell me how
yeah,
this started.
everything.
What's going on?
It's called The Unspeakable. And a friend of my brother actually in New York reached out after seeing my Instagram stuff, and he's a producer. And he just asked us if we'd be interested. He said that, they would produce it, they would edit it, they would do all of it. And so Savannah and I literally spend like 80% of our days talking about the Idaho case. So I was like, this would be a perfect project for both of us. So that's kind of how we.
That's amazing. Is it going to be
do it.
one
That's
story or is
awesome.
it going to be a case every episode?
It's going to be a case per season.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So the first
Yeah.
one being Idaho, that's what's
Yeah,
going to take y'all to Moscow. That is so awesome.
exactly.
That's amazing. I love that. When's it launch?
Do y'all know?
Y'all know yet?
Savannah, what's the schedule like?
So I think
She's better with logistics.
I think that we feel since this is in the news, like we're definitely feeling the pressure to get it out, but
Right.
we're planning on releasing the first 3 episodes in March, and we're going to Moscow in the end of February. So we're test recording right now and just figuring out how, we can
It's really funny. We did our first test recording yesterday, and it was like we had a little bit of a script. I don't know if you guys had this in the beginning, but it sounded like we were just like a script, like you go and now I'll go and you go. Like it was not.
Yeah. We can't do that.
We never did that.
Yeah. We're never going to do it
fail.
again.
It would fail miserably. It needs to be a fluid conversation. It's like
Totally.
you're just chatting. That is so exciting. Good for y'all. So are we thinking second
you.
season might be Maura Murray?
I know.
I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you all are interested in Maura Murray, but it's the fact that case is, I know it happened, 20, 25 years ago at this point, but to me that it isn't, it doesn't have more kind of like public interest in it. It does worry me about devoting an entire season to it. And also because it really is stagnant right now, where I think it's interesting to us to cover a case where, for instance, with Idaho, the preliminary hearing is coming up in June.
Right.
We'll go back for that trial in June, and for these 2 trips to kind of bookend our reporting. But I do, for just going back to like us being interested in these cases that hit close to home, I ran cross country in high school with Maura Murray. So she grew up in New Hampshire, and I went to boarding school in New Hampshire.
God.
And so we're in different leagues, but I was a cross country and track runner, and she ran at West Point, then got kicked out of West Point and went to UMass Amherst. So, and we graduated from college, or she would have graduated the same year. We were born the same year.
Oh, wow. So it really hits home.
That different kind of as,
Yeah.
at that age and in that time, and like New England and 2000 or whatever. And so I think those are, and her disappearing in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, like that's a place that I know pretty well. So it does have all of the makings in terms of us feeling like being able to identify with Maura and being able to tell that story in a unique way. We just, I'm worried that people aren't as interested in it as we are.
Well, for a little background, people who probably don't know Maura Murray, and I might let y'all recap it.
Recap.
That's what I
Sound
said.
like you said wreak havoc.
Ah.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe a little synopsis, because we've talked about cases where like everyone knows that one. And like people
And
text me like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
it's like a
Maura
niche
Murray,
case.
Sure.
Yeah. Maura Murray was a college student at UMass Amherst, and I think it was 2003 or 2004 when this happened. And there were a series of events that happened at school that were odd, I guess. But it culminated in her leaving campus one night, going to the ATM, taking out all or most of her money, going to a liquor store, purchasing the very typical liquor that a 21-year-old would have bought in 2004, and getting in her car and driving into the White Mountains of New Hampshire, a place that she was pretty familiar with, being from New Hampshire and also having gone to ski trips nearby there. And she essentially drove off the road, got in a bit of an accident. There was snow everywhere, and it's nighttime, and she may or may not have been drinking. And she sort of got out of the car, and there were a few witnesses. There was a bus driver. There was someone in the house near
the Westmans. Yeah.
And someone said to her, "Do you want me to call the police?" And she said, "No, I already did."
She said she called AAA.
Yeah, AAA. Yeah.
And then she disappeared.
Just vanished.
Just
And I
vanished.
remember the dogs lost her scent, halfway up the road. So that could indicate that she
in
was
the
picked
woods.
up.
So
Yeah.
there would have been
Yeah.
footprints had she just disappeared into the woods.
Yeah.
Right.
So we wonder, was it a tandem driver or was it just a crazy
And-
serial killer who happened upon her? Which is
The guy,
wild.
the guy who said she called AAA lived on that street or something. It
Yeah.
was like, there's no service up here. I know she
Yeah.
didn't get through to
That
AAA.
he went and called 911. Yeah.
But she was a little like on probation or something. Maybe she just didn't want
Yeah.
the cops called because she didn't want to be in more trouble or whatever.
Totally.
She had recently
Yeah.
been in a
Yeah.
car accident, and she had
Mhm.
been in a little bit of trouble, like sort of minor things here
Mhm.
and there.
Yeah.
So
I think she got caught stealing at West Point, which was
Yeah.
a big, big no-no.
Right, right.
Yeah.
credit card
But-
at UMass Amherst, I think also.
Yeah.
Right.
To get pizza.
Right. It's just one of those things. It's like, what happened? Something happened to her. And
She just
I think people
disappeared.
will be interested in that because, mind you, Tara Grinstead's case was cold before Payne Lindsay picked it up and, really ignited that fire again. And he took off because of it.
Yeah.
Is that the ultimate goal also, to cover a case that is really cold and to maybe be able to turn over some stones that haven't been turned before that lead
Yeah.
to answers? I mean, I think that's Alexandra's friends with all of Maura Murray's like family members and ex-boyfriends on social media.
And they're so accessible. Like I'll have conversations with her ex-boyfriend, who she was dating at the time of her disappearance. And he's just like an open book. So in terms
Really?
of getting interviews with people, we could totally do it.
That's amazing. Oh,
I know I
goosebumps.
sound crazy.
No.
I remember I screenshotted our conversation, me and the boyfriend, and sent it to Savannah, and she was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is like next level."
No, a reporter's
No.
got to do what a reporter's got to do. You got to be shameless and just go for it. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Especially if
So
he
funny.
responds, he could have easily just been like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah,
But he
if he's
didn't.
responded.
So-
Y'all, that case reminds me so much of have y'all ever heard of Brandon Swanson?
Yes.
That I'm just
What
like, and I'll
happened?
recap for the listeners, but 2008, Brandon Swanson, I think he was a senior, went to a graduation party. It's kind of the same thing. He got in a little bit of a wreck, put his car in the ditch, but he couldn't get it out. Not a huge deal. It was right before midnight. He called his parents and said, "I need you to come get me." They got in their car to look for him. They couldn't find each other, but they were on the phone for like 45 minutes. He was like, "All right, screw this. I'm going to walk I see a gas station in the next county or town over from where he lived." And he's like, "I'll just walk there." And he's like, "Okay, we'll stay on the phone with you." And then he said, "Oh shit." And it went silent. And he has never been seen
God.
or heard from again. I'm like,
Not a trace.
not a trace. They
Ugh.
found his car, and his car was not in that town that he thought he was in. It was like 15 miles or something north of that.
Wild.
It's just so, and I'm like, what happened?
Oh
I
my God.
bring it up to my husband at least once a month. I'm like, what do you think happened to Brandon Swanson? He was like,
I
well,
need to look that up. I've
it
never
is-
heard of that.
so insane. He's like on the phone with his parents. I even think at one point him and his mom got in a little argument because she was like, "We are driving around, we're flashing our lights, so you don't
Mhm.
see us." And he was like, "No." And he was like, "All right." And I think hung up, and then his dad called back and was like, "Hey, we're just going to meet you at that gas station. Just walk towards it. I'll stay on the phone with you." And I'm like, he just said, "Oh shit," as if he fell or
Oh my
something. And
gosh.
he's just never heard from or seen
That's
him
so
again.
eerie.
That was in Minnesota, and my husband's like, my husband's theory is if his ditch was on someone's farmland, he thinks that you don't fuck with farm owners. He was like, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he saw someone trespassing on his property and killed him. But I'm like, that's not an oh shit moment. That's like a,
Yeah.
hi, my car broke down and I'm
Yeah.
on the phone with my parent. I'm like, I just don't think. And then a lot of people on Reddit are like, I think he fell into a sinkhole. I'm like, I don't think they have sinkholes in the, I don't know.
Reddit is so
What?
funny.
Reddit is just all over the place.
Reddit's the
So
wild,
entertaining.
Wild West.
It really
The
is.
wild, it'll make or break you.
It really is. But
Same
that
with the
one is so
Facebook group, the
fascinating.
Idaho Facebook group.
Oh my
This is
God.
like getting ridiculous. Yesterday I read on the Idaho Facebook group. It actually may have been Reddit. I don't even know. So if Brian was seen wearing a mask, is anyone else curious what his stance on COVID was? I'm like, where are we going? What are
Oh
we
my
doing?
God. I know
Like,
someone wanted
cares?
to set up a reenactment and put like a plastic knife, like, and
saw
like
that.
have 4 or 5 people like pretend to be the roommates and then maybe get a dog to pretend to be Murphy. Like,
I can't.
next level.
I saw that. I'm like, and do what?
And they
with
were
it?
dead serious.
I know.
Dead serious.
I
It wasn't
know.
even a joke, you know?
The
Like,
rabbit holes. I
Yeah.
can't. That's why I can't keep up.
I
We're like,
know.
just let the police. You know, the police have already done something of that
Oh,
nature.
totally.
Yeah,
Leave
don't
it
worry
to
about
them.
it.
Plastic knife not necessary. Oh my
Good
God.
God.
Hilarious. What else is on here? Sorry, Jacob. Hold on.
I feel like he's like air traffic control. Like he's
I
like,
know. Jacob, our level's still good.
Also, like, you are all insane, by the way.
yeah, he's like, I'm out. I'm going to the bar.
He's like, this is psycho. Boys do not get it. I'm like,
I know.
y'all don't get it because y'all are always the murderers. Y'all are always
I
the
know.
assholes in the story. I wouldn't like
And
it either.
secretly, like Payne does that. My husband does that shit to me. Like, you're crazy, you're psycho. And then I turn on the Dateline and I catch him watching. He's into it. He knows. I'll tell him the latest story.
I know they are
gets into
actually
it.
secretly
Yeah.
into it.
I'm
Even
like,
when I'm
"That's
like,
right."
I need a palate cleanser. We can watch Bob's Burgers or something. He's like, no, Dateline's good. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my God, it's hilarious. But we are pretty batshit crazy, I guess. And
It
we
is.
were advised by someone who does podcasts a lot. She actually worked for Girls Gotta Eat podcast.
Wait,
Oh
hold
yeah,
on. Edit
Ashley
fine. People get
Heselton.
mad. Yeah.
Heseltine. Yeah. I know
Oh,
her
yeah.
because I used to have a blog when she had a blog and I made like a guest cameo on her blog. I hate the word blog. I'm
Oh.
sorry. I've just said it like 20 times. But
Smallest world.
What
she's
else are
great.
you
She's
supposed
so
to say?
successful now.
I'm like, you're the most
Yeah.
successful 24-year-old I've ever met.
What?
I think she's like 40.
She's not 24.
Oh, I
There's
thought we were
no
talking
way.
about Bella.
Oh, you work for Ashley?
Yeah, I know Ashley Heseltine, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
Oh my
was like,
God.
what?
No, she's not 24. I'm sorry. I thought you meant Bella. That's who we spoke to. But I did email Ashley yesterday, actually.
She's so nice.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
crushing it.
They're
Like,
killing
within
it.
5 years. They like launched 5 years ago.
Amazing.
That's the dream. But Bella, who works at Girls Gotta Eat, said that we are only, what was it, Rach? We're only 4% in the podcast game. She like took a class at NYU and we were like, well, we're scared we're behind in podcasting. Like two girls coming on talking true crime is not new. She's like, podcasts are not, they haven't even blown up yet. You're still in the beginning stages. We're only at 4% of where it's projected to be in 5 years or something.
Was it that low? 4%?
Yeah, it was I remember it's 4%. And I was like, that makes me feel amazing.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
So
Yeah.
interesting. They're like, podcasts have just begun. I'm like,
And encouraging because we were like, why didn't we do this 5 years ago?
right.
It was like, no, unnecessary. So,
Yeah. So thought we'd
Encouraging.
share. Okay.
I've been covering the Murdaugh case pretty
Oh, that
often.
bastard.
I know. And it's so funny because everyone who came to my page to learn about Idaho, they're messaging me. They're like, what are you doing? Like, stop talking about this like Southern guy. You know, it's like all Southern people are interested, but everyone else in the country is like, we don't care. Go
I'm
back to
from
Idaho.
Alabama, live in Georgia, and for some reason I cannot get on board with that family. I think they're all assholes. Paul
Yeah.
didn't deserve
It's just so
to
cut and
die.
dry.
No, but he's an asshole.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole, for me, what got me into the Murdaugh case is the boat crash, right? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
have sort of similar characters in a way to the students in Idaho, where you have these, was it 4 of them or 6 of them? 6 of them, right?
Who were in the boat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
couples.
6.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
3 couples. Yeah.
And I mean, that Mallory Beach, like, I just want to, hug and hold her parents forever. And that you have, this footage of them going to the bar when they really probably should have called it a night. And you sort of feel like you were along this journey with them. They were like at an oyster, shucking situation and
Drinking White Claw.
Right.
Yeah.
with Paul using Buster's ID to go to the gas station from the beginning of, like, really to even, anyway, you feel like you were on that journey and that was probably a night that you could have been part of when you were 19 or whatever. And so for me, that's what got me into it. And that it seems as if, Alec is using the fact that so many people wanted to retaliate against Paul after crashing that boat and really being responsible for Mallory's death that night as a reason to kill, him and Maggie. And that's his whole kind of from the beginning, when the cops came, that he was really like, I don't know if you know about my son, but he was in a crash.
He said it right away.
Right.
People don't like him, and it's, to me, that's that boat crash. Like, I'm sort of so over like Alec, and I think he's just so repulsive and, stealing from all of these people that were so vulnerable is just makes my skin crawl. But that boat crash, man, if it hadn't happened, and I was listening to a podcast that really talked about how Mallory was an angel in some way, who was looking out for all of these people who he took advantage of, because the way that it was in that town in South Carolina, and the power that the generational power that family had with law enforcement and with the legal system, they would have just kept on going on.
Oh yeah.
People. And Mallory, that boat crash and her dying, that was what changed everything. So anyway,
it brought so much to light.
Right.
Yeah. I think that it's a fascinating case for that reason.
It is. That incident made the house of cards start falling.
Yeah.
But it's when the more that comes out about that freaking family, I'm like, this is so infuriating. It's the maid, Stephen, and Mallory's. Those are, I'm like, my heart goes out to y'all. For some, Paul obviously did not deserve to die, but they all just seemed so
entitled.
Entitled. That's the word I couldn't think of.
Seen the footage from that night and the way he was acting, like he was, really, really drunk. And I guess he had this sort of alias.
Oh yeah, what was his name? And his hands would go like this.
Yeah.
Like,
so freaky. But we all had that friend in college, right? Who like just turned
totally
hide situation,
right? Who is just a general asshole, but he hit his girlfriend in front of everyone. Like, I'm like, you're a monster for what were you, 19 years old at the time? I'm like,
look at how he grew up. He was like handed everything. He got away with everything. The amount of power they had. That's what's infuriating. That's why I'm like,
I can't follow it.
I almost can't follow it because
he pushed the housekeeper down the stairs.
Yeah.
Also.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if everyone feels that way, but and she loved him,
she like raised him.
Yeah. She raised him.
Yeah.
He
awful.
I agree. No, he didn't deserve to, but to die, it seemed like he was really an entitled, pretty horrible
prick.
Yeah. I do love seeing that house of cards fall, though.
Yeah,
I know.
What's interesting, kind of bringing this conversation full circle, is you had Stephen who died, and you had the housekeeper who died, and it's interesting that it took kind of the poster girl, beautiful blonde haired girl to die for this, spotlight to be put on this case and for the house of cards to fall. So it's sort of like I don't know. I'm very like torn on all of this, but it is interesting how it kind of goes back to the beautiful blonde girl.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
All of these vulnerable people were wronged. And, the guy who was he a paraplegic or a quadriplegic? And he was a football player in high school. This is the worst one. And him and his mother were in a car accident, and he was put on life support. And anyway, Alec Murdaugh was representing them and stole so much money from them. And that wasn't what made the house of cards fall. It was beautiful Mallory Beach. And so it's a screwed up world that we live in, but it is. It's interesting.
That is really interesting. You're right. You're absolutely right. And before I did say maid, I meant housekeeper. I know that's not PC.
Oh yeah. It's like stewardess, flight attendant.
Yeah. But I did catch that after. I said I should have had whatever. I should have corrected it then, but just correcting myself now. God, that is so interesting. You're right. That does go back to the whole blonde hair, blue-eyed white chick.
That's why everyone took attention. Yeah. It's a fucked up world, but
even like Nicole Brown to really bring it, like, I wonder if he had been married to someone different, if it wouldn't have had the same kind of hype.
Yeah. That is interesting to think about. God, this has been great.
So fun. I don't want to go back to work.
I know. Me neither. Come on, people. Everyone listen to both of our podcasts so we can just do this full time. Well, how many times do we have to ask?
Yeah, for real.
Come on. Oh my gosh.
Well, thank y'all so much. This has been so much fun. We're honored to have had y'all as our first guests. again, The Unspeakable will be out hopefully in March. Keep an eye out for it. They have been, and just follow Instagram. Or do you have an Instagram page yet for The Unspeakable?
No, we're gonna make one, and I guess we have to make a TikTok.
TikTok is where it's at.
It's gonna be your best friend. Instagram,
gonna
our
be-
Instagram sucks.
I feel like people are so mean on TikTok, like the
Yeah.
comments.
I
Really?
haven't
Okay.
actually gotten that many bad comments, but yeah, TikTok's been, our Instagram is
Sucks.
just, well, there's not a huge following. TikTok, you get one good video and
Yeah.
It's
How did,
literally
do
in
you
a
guys
weekend
follow
we got-
Ashley Mary? She has like
Who's
half a
that?
million. She covers like all the cases, Idaho, but I'll send you her handle. She's really great.
Oh, yeah, no, we do not
yes.
follow her.
Oh,
Good.
but we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, TikTok will be your best friend.
But the videos are hard.
Just as
It's
long as I don't
hard.
have to like dance and stuff.
Oh,
Whatever they do.
you have to do at least one challenge a week.
Yeah.
I feel like
Hell
I'll be the
no.
oldest person on TikTok.
No, you'll be surprised.
Yeah, it is hard, but that following, that's just where it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so when that happens, follow y'all's personal Instagram. Or you're public, right, Alexandra? Okay, so Al Bunting has all the Idaho deets. I'm sure she'll let us know when Instagram and TikTok and all of that is live. So follow along.
And everything is in my highlights.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
All my
that's right.
stories are saved in my highlights.
Good
That's
point.
right.
Yes.
point.
So good.
was
Well, y'all,
so
thank y'all
fun.
so much. This was so much fun.
So fun. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.